Hello and welcome back to what has been a pretty intense series so far, the second best of 3 of the day in the EU region, this time between Trust Gaming and Team August. I just told my notes, but I actually remember
very aggressive flip there.
Very aggressive
it's the way
you know, it's dramatic. And
you're an airbender.
I guess that's the thing about it is, thank you, we go to Bank next, which is a very dramatic map. So let's see if these guys can make it as violent as it was on Clubhouse, I guess is the easiest way of putting it. I don't know what that means, what they're typing.
Plasia.
I didn't want to repeat it just in case it was something that I shouldn't say on stream.
Well, I don't think that they would put that on stream.
Or a delicious meal, it could be. Veal, like, is the food?
You're thinking too much.
Well, I just don't speak many
Whenever
languages.
you think too much, you get dangerous. Just like me. Whenever I start thinking of things, world's my oyster.
is that your limit? So Barna is taken out instantly there by Trust, and on Bank, that kind of makes sense. It forces them to play. Again, we harp on about those hatches. Very, very important hatches that cover across the basement point. And then obviously you have some other creative places where you just need to force them in a bit closer, like on the top floor on CEO against Square. Capitao is taken out of the equation as well. A fair ban and a consistent ban across this region. They really dislike playing against him. And, you know, it's weird. Even though on the statistics sheet, he's shown as being really weak in ranked matches. Do you think he needs a buff? Do you think he needs a buff because of the ranked stats? So he might need one. Mira dropped as well. And that's just leaves it.
Well, by that logic, we need to nerf Jaeger.
Yeah, bring Jaeger down. He's had it too good for too long.
No, the only reason why Jaeger's up there is because he's the only operator who does his own job. There's no replacement for a Jaeger.
Jaeger.
Stop talking.
Echo is banned as well. That is a fairly standard. It does leave Maestro open and available to pick, and that is a very big operator to have and a very big gun set to have, especially on that basement.
I'm surprised why Ordless banned Capitao, because I thought they executed him a lot better than kind of what Trust did. Trust had more issues with the Capitao than Ordless did.
Yeah, they were very, very consistent with their usage of him as well. They were able to kind of utilize the smokes of plants and covers and pushes and anywhere they needed to shepherd the opponents. And we haven't really seen that too much so far during this series. Across all the regions, he's kind of been, he's either banned or he's not been utilized fully, fervently and properly. But I guess they just don't trust him on this map. They've got other ways they like to push it, and there is Jackal on the board in the hands of KS for the first time.
Jackal being left open is a surprising one because EU, they despise that operator, and we never really see him get to shine because he's always banned. But whenever they're prioritizing the Capitao, it kind of shows that both of these teams are more resolved around trying to upset the other team's kind of perfect execute plan, and we know how well Capitao can be with executes. Avai sticking with the Ela. Please say Titan Killer.
Well, I'm not going to, but I guess we'll see if they do in chat. When we get into what Ella's gun is in just a second. They're setting themselves up on the blue stairs to be able to, I guess, get some quick responses, stun them on the turn around the corner, and then be able to stop it.
Yes! Let's go!
They have a
Titan killer is here. This gun is... You talk about nerfs. Actually, don't nerf this thing. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. It's not even good. Don't use it. It's not good.
Yeah, see, you love that gun, and you draw a lot of attention to it, but the more attention you draw to it, the more likely it is to suffer a nerf.
Do we think, because it's called the Titan Killer, they may look into why it's called that gun?
I think if we looked at a long list of the entire history of Siege, of days and times, people have referred to that gun as the Titan Killer.
It has 6 Infinity Stones inside of it.
Uh-huh. Quick push here, coming straight against 3 barrels of Trust pointed towards the dirt entrance. Ducks under the opening hole there and make sure he doesn't get a scalp removed, as someone is also entering via the garage. Leonski's going to try and keep this fight with the long angles, but SAPPHIRE shuts the Maestro down. Rips is still on the tear he was on in the previous game, and he's not slowing down yet. Pops for the cover just to make sure that no one's there to get a double swing out, and uses a lot of utility, but otherwise just going to push around the corner, and not 100% sure on the double use there of the stun, but they've got the drone on the person inside open area in the kitchen side, and I guess they're going to try and get that through the wall potentially, and there it is, crying! Finds the man close in quarters, and KS finds Avish in the meantime, finds the footsteps of somebody else down on point, and this has very, very quickly fallen apart for Trust.
Does pull 1 kill back for them, but how many more can Meads get? Even Al swings it back into his favor, but still 2v3 with Thermite alive can, of course, breach open the hatches, and even still with the Jackal, who can provide, of course, smoke coverage, they can make an easy execute. I like the fact that Meads went back to the position where they were kind of holding, which was, of course, where Ella was originally, hiding behind the shield. Thermite knows this, though. Just double-checking, going to use the drones, and even Meads trying to get a little bit frisky. Using, of course, those mirror slits in the new shields can gain that intel that you wouldn't, of course, originally got with it. Jinx now, though, a lot of pressure on him, of course, filling in those new shoes, one of the newer members of Trust. I still think we need to see a lot more from him for him to be worthy of the spot that he has in a great team.
Well, here comes a bit more pressure against the top. Going to pop the second remote gas canister, but with the drop-downs open, both on the server side on Skylight, and then both above the point, it's going to make any rotation he tries to make very hard. Hits the shotgun and drops the man with the diffuser. Finished off in the smoke itself. Going to rotate to the opposite side. Very smart maneuver there. Allows him a little bit more breathing room and a little bit more of a surprise as Jinx tries to hold off the Maverick on the opposite side of the map. Maverick still dancing across the drop-downs, but they've got 30 seconds. They've got to try and find a way to drop the bodies inside. The spots are coming out, but KS suffers on the side of machines as Meads expertly dispatches with the SMG-11, and this has suddenly swung into the favor of Trust, hanging on for dear life against what was originally an insurmountable force, now becomes just an enemy to be battered away as Jinxed Owl shuts Prano down.
SMH. Losing a 2-on-5 on a map which is all about collapsing at the same time and getting the refrags. Orgl have done the opposite and allowed Trust to get back into it. Meads, triple kill from him. I love the reposition that he kind of brought to the table, and sure, he was drone, but still, you never want to push a smoke on those backstairs. You never want to do so. It's always going to end up in a death. And it just kind of proves the point, Fluke, that, you know, me and you have been harking on about. UK makes the best players.
Yeah, we've always kind of said this. And no bias at all. We just see a lot of
No, we have facts, because I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a certain Mr. Ben McMillan who is top of Pro League. And
you've been giving him a lot of compliments recently.
You say this if I haven't always said this about Ben, though. Ben, Citizen, by the way. Just let everybody know.
Do you know him personally, so you can use his name?
We used to team with each other back in Xbox.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but there's a good showing from this. And obviously, one of the best things that we've kind of seen over the past year and a half, roughly, from Siege is these multinational teams forming. It used to be quite strict back in the day. A lot of teams would stick to their native tongue, and it would kind of make the scene not as, you know, effervescent.
Back whenever there used to be 22 French players, I believe, and 4 of them being, of course, on same team, same nationalities. You know, you think back to Millennium, even the old Vitality, not including the one with Bibi, it was the one with like Panics and Revan, of course, and then you also look at even Vitality now, they're known as Supremacy back then. So many French teams, so many.
Yep, and now it's a matter of the French teams have opened their doors to some international players.
You look at Stiggy.
Yep, you look at Syzygy as well, I believe. Blah, 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 Gamewood, they have English player as well.
I think they switched back, though, to... Because Madman now is
well,
off that roster.
Way, they had an English player, and back in the day that would have been unheard of. So it kind of shows the diversifying of the scene, and I think that's just making everybody stronger, everybody better players across the board. They're setting themselves up now to try and hold this. Leonski with a pretty beastly angle there, and Deepak is looking for anyone that might swing a bit too wide on these windows. Digs himself a little bit of destruction here against the IKEA furniture and finds his way into a hold against these windows and a bit more comfort as Prano looks and begs for a head, covering KS, who's rappelling up and down and almost trying to bait something there, but Cryin drops Owl in the meantime. That is the Jaeger suffering this time. The previous battler and a survivor in a 2 versus 5 gets taken off first to, again, another player that had an exceptional first map there.
KS, G46C on the Ash rather than the more common R4C, but personal preference is always a big thing for a lot of players. Window game being prioritized quite a bit by Orgless. This is typically a risky one to go for because you can get killed very easily if a defender would rotate in towards lobby and simply shoot you off the windows. But since Orgless have kind of revolved their entire attack around the window game, it means they've took control of lobby, and defenders, they can't do that if there's, of course, KS roaming around here, keeping watch and kind of watching over the guardian angel of Rips, we could say.
Well, they have control of the Kanto side, the Maestro camera on the far side, and with a minute 20 left on the clock, they're switching around some of their Legion traps to get a bit more information now that they know the push is generally stacking up on this lobby side. KS is still trying to find a way upstairs without being detected, but sees the man drop down and a firefight ensues, but Ovation just couldn't quite find the way through on that. Tries to drop the bulletproof camera there with the side and allow themselves a bit more ground as they swing their way up, but we saw Orgless get a very good hold in the first round, all for it to slip through their buttery fingers. Can they find a way to keep it the second time as Deepak starts to put bodies on the floor?
Orgless have had a great opening couple of rounds so far, and the last time, of course, it did fall short for them, and could we see a repeat of that as Meads squares things back into a 3-on-3 with that kill on the Cryin, the Hail Mary jump out. Doesn't land for Deepak, and that means Rips takes full advantage of it. Now Leonski and Meads see if they can pull it through for Trust Gaming and make, yet again, another round which they had no right in winning. Leonski ready to go in the conference room. Of course, has that big old LMG, can rain down a lot of fire. Nice angle by Meads, and it hits the head. A double kill, and it's Leonski again. It's happened once more for Orgless. They've crumbled whenever it looks so good for them. Meads especially has been great in these dire straight situations, and Rips now pushes in and the peek up. Leonski, Trust Gaming yet again. Another round which should not go their way.
Well, this was their map. They wanted to come here, they're comfortable here, they're confident here, and it's showing. So far, they've been very good at kind of when they're pushed back against the wall, they're able to find something in and amongst it and utilize that as they claw on. As you said, Meads 5-0 has really been doing a lot of work for Trust in these first 2 rounds, is refusing to let this potential spot at the LAN slip through their fingers just yet. Tellers Office and Archives is going to be our 3rd point. It's their 3rd point in terms of what they would like to hold as well, often seen as the hardest of the standard 3 that you see, but it doesn't mean it's completely out there. This is where Orgless, if they can pull a point here, they can at least start to swing some momentum in their favor. And if they don't, well, then they're looking at a repeat of 3 pretty tough points in the hands of Trust.
Bank is a very 50-50 split. Yes, defense has some really strong bomb sites. If you look at basement, whenever Hard Breacher is off the table, Habana, not there, so it makes sense for basement to be strong. Top floor can also be a good one whenever there is a lot of long angles that ACOGs kind of favor for defense, and sometimes attacks get kind of shut down in terms of 1v1 gunfights, which just kind of the layout of Bank in general with there's a multitude of angles. You know, you think about how many gunfights really take place between lobby and in towards that front desk and even the skylight in towards the B bomb site. So much things. But then at the same time, attack, a lot of the attacks are really simple to kind of complete, and you can bring a very solid 5-man lineup that you don't ever need to change, because most of the bomb sites kind of play out similar with what operators you have. As long as if you need a specific one to attack this bomb site, most of them are universal.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about the kind of transition into a map like this from Clubhouse. As we said, they're both vast kind of maps, but this is one where you've got to be a little bit more, you know, wild with your holds in certain places and certain locations, especially on the roam capabilities that you can get, because it can be so aggressive at points to go from top to bottom and go on those kind of clears. What we're seeing so far from Trust has been they've thrown people in these aggressive spots, and it's been great shutdowns on the side of Auglis. As you know, they've been pretty stellar in terms of finding people and getting them out of the places they need to be got, as we've just seen them open some long sightlines there across the top. But in terms of actually getting the execute off in time, in terms of having the time and the shelter and the cover to be able to pull out the final execute, the amount of time eaten up on the vastness of this map has been absolutely decisive. Rip's finally making his way into the building as KS is covering the top floor again. They're just trying to get some initial control as they crack open castles from 500 yards.
Nice angle from KS, and we'll see if anything comes off that yet again. Another jump out, this time from Jinxed Owl, and once more, it's been shut down, and not even any damage being added on to the team of Orglis. Just a wasted opportune moment for Trust. They're just giving themselves away. I feel as if they're kind of forcibly putting themselves in depositions, just so it makes me play better.
I know,
that's a massive, big brain play.
I mean, it's a reason. It's a potential look in to all of this, and it makes at least some semblance of sense, but probably not the most semblance of sense. But I guess we'll see as Rips puts another body on the floor, 5-3. But weirdly, this isn't the first time we've seen them take a lead in a round for it to wither away to nothing. They fire some bullets into Cryan from range, but that is a Vish that gets a suffering fate, and it's 5-2. Wide swings aggressively against the IQ and takes advantage of that, but Devon is there to get the cover, and now it is just the smoke against the world. A minute on, finds another one. Meads, if you pull another round out of the bag in a situation where you need 4 kills to carry it, well, you are really earning your stripes.
All to do for the Brit against the Germans. Meads now creeping around that drone, gives away his position. Will he stick on? No, Orglis finally. They get themselves around. Number 3 goes their way, but still a lot of work to do yet for Orglis before they can start relaxing and say, hey, we're in a really good positions, because at the moment, it's still a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, the thing about that point, as I said at the beginning, was if they lose it, they're in a bad spot. If they win it, they're in an okay spot, because they've already down 2 rounds, and that is the hardest one really to defend, especially with the playstyle that Trust is going for. They're losing a lot of ground pretty, unfortunately, quickly. I'm still a bit curious about Jinxed Owl and what they're attempting with the numerous jump outs, because they're not really working. And at that point, you've got to try and maybe go back to the drawing board, because yes, it's good to have this aggressive style, but if it's not working, you got to find a plan B. You can't just keep giving them free kills like that.
Back down to lockers is where we head for Trust, and it was an okay round from Trust. Great individual plays from Jinxed Owl, and also, of course, Meads, who's kind of been the talk of the town at the moment. Orglis, they should have had this round in the bag. You know, you never lose a 2v5 whenever you're set up like that in basement, but yet they just all peaked the same guy 1v1. There was no real clear sign of communication. There was none at all refrag potential. You didn't even get it down to like a 1v something. It was literally you lost all 5 players by getting a single frag at that point.
Yeah, I mean, like, the cover has been a bit of an issue. I think across both maps as well. Because what we've seen occasionally from the side of Orglis is at least when they get really aggressive with their throwing around, someone tries to rotate back to get the pickup. But with Trust, it's just kind of been lesser seen. The eyes haven't quite been in the right locations at the right time. Deepak is going for the big rotate there, has the Electric Claw to try and keep control of these hatches. As we said, as soon as You know, he's kind of allowed on this point. You're always going to see him picked pretty often, try and keep a bit of the semblance of balance here. They're generally not going to go for anything kind of pacey, push across the garage, and Leonsky might have a little bit more luck this time. Previously got absolutely bodied by the Zofia, but well, let's see if Cryan can replicate that. Has the IQ right in front, maybe to help or maybe just to soak up bullets as Maestro gets dropped and almost gets the double. No! Just loses out on that, and that was a 2 for 2. Jinxed Owl finds Cryan, finally gets some revenge for the deaths on the jump out. But when you're facing Rips and you're facing Cryan and they're pushing closer and closer towards you, that's a nightmare for any team to suffer.
There's a 1 for kind of 1.5, because Jinxed Owl now is in very low HP, and even though they got the kill, yes, on the Cryan, he still managed to win that 1v1 on the Maestro, so it's alleviated that control in Garage. Now Rips can sit tight and wait for everybody else from Org to start doing their thing. Jackal being brought in. Chaos really hasn't had that much of an impact in terms of playing that operator. You know, the Inox has been there, but hasn't really shown to cause Trust Gaming many issues that they're kind of dealing with. Still have yet to get across, you know, the kind of main forefront of what they're trying to establish here for Morgos. Because yes, they're getting hatches open, but are they going to try and utilize the guy in Garage? Will they go for a simple server take? Not really showing us yet. They're taking their time, and I think the main thing they're trying to get rid of is, of course, that Titan killer still on the server stairs.
Well, the IQ is being consistently spotted out by the Maestro, so needs some loud noise to be made on the opposite side. The C4 is ready to be torn, but needs to wait for the hatch to drop because the electricity will just zap it out of thin air, so it's actually going to pull back and not throw and waste the utility just yet. Avaish pulls back slightly further and heads back up the blue stairs. Has to keep that active and hot and dangerous for them to keep some semblance of control, as they're actually just going to generally rotate off and leave the firefight to KS to hold the angle. This does free up Rips to have a little bit more of a breathing room on the opposite side and might be able to cause some dramas on the far end. The flashes come out too, and there is the shotgun busting through. Deepak finds one, but Rips finds Meads in the meantime, and Avish pushes hard aggressively and drops KS. Suddenly putting August on a bit of a back foot here, swings away, and Jinx finds Rips, and now it is just the lone Thermite on the top of the hatch.
Down to Thermite, down to Prano. Flashbang comes in, but he's up against the Titan killer, and that's why that gun's the best gun in the game.
These are big statements you make about this gun.
Hey, look. See that?
Well,
that's a kill right there.
That was turning away. That was,
yeah, see, that's the power of the time stone. He was able to go back in time and realize and see his future. You know, he knew that flashbang was going to come. That's why he looked away. Because, of course, that gun has all 6 Infinity Stones ready to go.
See, the thing is, the only way I've heard of being able to get the dubs related to Avengers is if you sing the theme song as you enter the lobby. That's how you then get the dubs.
We're not singing the Avengers theme song.
No, I'm not saying we are. We don't need the dubs. We don't play. I don't, especially. You used to, once upon a time.
I still dabble.
Did you use the Titan Killer then?
I still use the Titan Killer.
Oh, look out for that in Ranked, guys. Executive CEO is where we're going to head next, and obviously 3-1 is looking good for Trust, and they took this point previously with some misaligned aggression, I think it's fair to say, but we did notice that Orclus managed to find themselves in and amongst the point pretty quickly and pretty aggressively, really. They were able to shut down each and every step that was thrown in front of them, but look at how it happened. We saw KS slowly and steadily pushing up the lobby stairs. Avaish dropped over a side. Jinxed Owl threw himself out of a window. If Trust just pull themselves back a little bit and don't keep sacrificing themselves to the German gods, maybe they might be able to have a little bit more ground when it comes down to the end kind of foray of the round. Jinx is setting themselves up for the cover on square there. They have all of the Kanto side reinforced as well with the similar standard Maestro cam, keeping the eyes and angles across it. And for now it's just, yeah, same old it seems.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
CEO now for Trust, and they're in a really good position. They still have 2 more rounds, of course, for the defense, and already with a strong lead, a 3-1, they could try and ramp this up, and if we start looking at a 5-1, then definitely Trust, their map could be going their way, and then we'll head to, of course, our 3rd map of this evening. So now for Orclus, the pressure's on. They need to pull back 2 rounds to give themselves a fighting chance. And whenever then they switch on towards the defense, they give Trust, you know, a very good time to kind of be able to read Orclus. Because like we've talked about, Orclus, they're very predictable in some of the kind of instances where they would pick up these operators and try and push in from certain positions. And now Rep's just patrolling the windows, Castle Barricade, locks him away from that main one so he can see right into the heart of the bomb site. Also, Jinxdal, he was downstairs. He was actually looking for a run-out opportunity.
And I'm kind of concerned about that because they haven't been going well for him. Everything's just kind of not really came to fruition at this point, and they, you know, that play style isn't covering the right sides for them. They're sacrificing themselves, as it seems, over and over because, yes, August could potentially be, you know, predictable, but they're still losing on those predictions. They're still throwing themselves at it, and they're just being picked off one at a time. And we can always talk about the kind of fantastic frag game that we're seeing Cryin and Rips and Co. have, but at that point, how many of these bodies are just being fed to them by, well, sheer brazenness? Throwing themselves up these lobby stairs as quickly as they did previously, and Prano is the one to open up the frags against the Jaeger on the far side. And now again, here comes the cover against it. In fact, no, it was on the close side. Hit the body through the big window. KS is wasting no time with the Ash, pushing hard and fast and trying to find any potential bodies. Like a SEAL Team 6, the man ducks under the other man's barrel, and you can hear them creeping one over the other and trying to keep themselves active. The frag grenade rolls out, tries to force Castle out of where he's hiding. He just kind of crouches a little bit and doesn't really seem any shaken as that, but Avish finds KS in the meantime round the side. Cryin gets Avish. Big trades coming up onto this banana fight, and now it's Rips holding the angle, waiting for the rotation via the front. Can they find a way to bring themselves back in?
Rip still patrolling the windows, is still pushing in. Orglis is frantic as ever, but here comes Leonsky with a big battle to LMG. Oh, and there's the shots rattle on through Rips. Oh, and there's the jump out from Legion, but now at this stage, know exactly where he is. Diffuser can go down as simply as he can, and even he's still trying to fight. He's trying to peek the window, even though they know exactly where he is. And yeah, Meads at this stage knows that's a lost round. And yeah, just save the KD, mate. Don't worry about it. Sit back, put your feet up, have a brew. Do what you need to do.
See if you can get in the van and escape. Oh, no.
Oh.
You're going to see if you can join the attackers, maybe. That would be a twist.
Join the attackers.
Yeah, imagine he discovers the secret mechanic right here on OGA. End of round replay, and we go in with August for the first time getting the diffuser down in this map. They only really got it once down on the previous swing as well. But can Trust find themselves with one more round win under their belt? Gonna hit CEO for the second time instead of opting for Tellers. I think that's a fair pick because their Tellers was picked apart very quickly. Again, Orclus, if they put themselves on a 3-3 leading into their defense on this bank, they could be in pretty good stead to head on to the next round.
Trust back up to CEO. Not opting for the Tellers, and that's because Orglis did win that the only time that Trust has managed to go there. So back up. This will be their third time. They've won it once and lost it once. And now for Orglis, they need to keep their cool and keep it collective. I like that they tried something new, which was a quick rush up through the banana stairs and then, of course, in straight towards the bomb site. And I do like the fact that they're putting a lot of emphasis on actually playing the window game. Because like we've talked about, the only way that the window game can really be stopped is if you just bang the guy off the window, or you rotate in the lobby and get the free kill on the guy as shooting him through the big massive... What kind of windows are those called? You know, the ones inside of the lobby? What would you call those ones? The big massive, like long ones, rectangular ones? Is there a word for that type of window?
I mean, I think there is. I remember being able to buy them in games like The Sims, but I wouldn't be able to tell you. They're just archway windows, surely? I don't know. Maybe there's some window expert in chat that can at least fill us in on what those windows are.
You know, it's a wonder, isn't it, that we don't know the name of specifically what the window is.
I mean, I'm not really in this game for the architecture, if I'm honest.
What? Why are you playing?
Oh, that's true. I need to buy some other games that I'm not going to list because I realized that it's branded. Leonsky
yes, other games are available.
Other games are available. Sets themselves up on the table to hold on to anyone that might try and drop down main stairway, but instantly, Cryin is taken out of the equation.
Yeah, again, window game seemed to be more pressure for Orglis, but this time we've seen a fight back because an ACOG has been brought out to play. And Avaj, you are very lucky, my friend, that you just didn't get eliminated there and then by Rips. I don't know what Rips was shooting at, but it wasn't at you. And those pillar windows still being held, and oh, they know exactly where he is. They're trying to hold the angle for him. They should know. They must have droned them out because there's no reason for Rips to be watching this, and all comes down to see if Jinxdal gives himself away, and he does, gets tagged up, but that's enough to send him packing and runs back to the safety of the archives. And once again, Orglis They have good pressure in the early game, but time management's starting to run away from them. Just already, they have made no headway whatsoever, even in towards the lobby, which has always been the first thing they've took.
Well, they're still holding on to those as yet of known and unknown windows as they try and pop bullets over the top of the Maestro. No luck as they stay low and steady to the ground. And with a minute 30, Trust have got to start, well, not Trust, August have got to start making their way into the point. Leonski looking for the long battle here, just misses the IQ as she drifts side to side and is going to drop down and start to rotate. Jaeger is still causing problems, but with the flicker of health that he's got, any firefight he gets into is going to be tough to find a way back in as they keep Maestro peeking against it. Rips finds Leonski in the meantime, manages to actually send the battle against them in their way, and KS finds a second there against the Vaish. And now it's just a matter of trying to get control. Obviously with Cantor Raketti all barricaded up, it's a matter of just having to force your way in, and yet again KS is creeping slowly as Driven finds Meads and Jinxed finds Prano still with a tiny bit of health. It's a 3-2, but he's actually suffered and down on the ground. Deepek finds KS in the meantime, brings it back, but he's the only member left standing, and all the guns are pointed in his direction. With 40 seconds on, this is surely Augustus to lose, and well, Rips gets the body downstairs and the one on the second story.
I don't know how Orglas have gotten away with that twice now in a row. Trust, come on. We said the Orglas are predictable. If Orglas see something that works, they're going to try it again. You should be ready to counteract that. I like the fact that you brought the Egg Hog, that you had a Vaish peeking aggressively. You know, he got kills from it. But why didn't we keep up that aggression? Why don't we maintain that? I would have liked to see some pressure from below. Sure, there was Jinxed out, sure he got caught out, but what was stopping them playing the elevator corridor? Nobody watches that for Orglas. And even Kanto, you think about the Kanto position, Habana's off the table, Kabatao's off the table, there's nothing that stops you there.
No, that's the thing, and you know, it's one of those kind of things where you're looking at it from this perspective and you're seeing where things are starting to fall apart. And I guess Trust, they're trying to find ways to respond to the aggressive style that August sometimes bring on the top of their game with their own aggression. They're trying to find ways to cut it off at the pass, and it sometimes works, but at the same time, if you look at how long Jaeger was down there, once Jaeger had suffered the first barrage, they should have rotated out of there. They should have found a second plan, maybe hit square, maybe even gone deep underneath and kind of messed around a bit before coming up main. There was a lot of potential places where they could have gone, and instead they just tried to prolong the fight underneath, and you know, that's doesn't normally end well. Trust in the meantime bringing Gridlock and Decabi for the first time on this map so far in their attack. Want to keep some control of an August roam that was pretty deadly on the previous map.
Lineup from Trust, no Maverick. Surprising, because that literally limits them to only 2 hatches, a hatch or a wall, or 2 walls. There's no in between, which I worry about. And because they have chosen the Thermite, I could see a quick aggressive rush from Trust coming straight in from the server side. That is doable, especially when they're bringing the Dokkaebi, and that's an interesting shield. That's kind of like a replacement for a Miro window.
Yeah, I quite like that. First I was curious why he was being so particular about removing all of the kind of debris on the wall. You know, you see maybe a jump rotation on the table at most, but there he just decided to physically open it up, leave himself enough to rotate over the top of the shield, and then have the ability to, as you said, use it like a mirror window. And I think that's a really creative combination of utility with the new shields. I guess we're going to start to see become more and more popular as time goes on. Gridlock offering some control of those main stairs and rotates across, drops the camera and just buys themselves some time, and they're going for a quick, fast clear here to make sure that they have all of these top 2 floors before they start breaking and breaching down below. Keeping the eyes on blue as well to see if anyone swings around as they crack open another hatch. I believe that was Archive's hatch, which just gives them, well, very quick ground in and amongst those kind of downward points. We can see a lot of bodies paying attention. We can see, obviously, the Pulse is going to be feeding any of this back to the people ready on the wall and the reinforcement as soon as he gets the heartbeats. And this is actually very, very quick and aggressive from Trust.
Trust have opened up that server hatch. They have really limited themselves in what they can open. Like, big time. I don't know if this is gonna work, Because, first of all, you still have to go through the copious amounts of utility still available for Orgulus, and, you know, all the denial with the C4s, of course, from Valkyrie and Pulse, and the smoke, the Maestro. So many things for Trust, and whenever they've used one hatch to clear server, they have to make a big decision. They either open up the main hatch on A, or they open up the standard plant wall. And both ways, you're going to be pretty done, because they opt now for the hatch. They have no way of getting a successful plant down now, because you never just drop into sight. That's suicide, but if they go for it, then it comes down to see how well Orgulus can react.
Yeah, this is a really curious decision. Great grenade, catches the shield, and is going to pop the smoke anyway. Had it out, might as well to buy some time. Sees the drone come through. Lucky to survive with as much health as he does. If that was cooked a little bit better, that could have been the end of Rips and the end of a big, big chunk of utility to stop this plant. But with 25 seconds, as you said, they've limited themselves to just dropping into point. All 10 operators are still on the board, and every angle is covered. Driven opens up the frags. The plant is going down. They're trying to throw everything and anything at the kitchen wall, and nothing is landing. Leonski finds one, but in the smoke, they get the plant down. 3 versus 2. Suddenly, Thermite shows up in the gold vault and finds one. 2 versus 1. And it's all down to Meads, who has so frequently been the last one left standing. Maestro has a very big and terrifying gun to opt to go up against. There's a man on the top of the hatch as well. They're going to cover and probably stick the plant at this point, and you can only imagine it's going to be the body watching above. They go off, and he finds him. He somehow finds and gets KS in the meantime. It has to drop down, and Driven comes out with the clutch just when they needed it the most on a round that was unbelievably quick. KS and Co, I think, find themselves back in it.
KS Incorporated.
KS Incorporated.
Yeah. That just shows why we always try and bring 2 hard breachers for Bank, because they literally just limit themselves to drop the hatch, and that never ends well. Honestly, Mead almost outplayed them there, because he kind of baited thinking he was going to go for the other side, then kind of came back in, and you can only speak as fast as what you can, and there's no way they were going to get those comms out in time, and just barely misses out on it. If he made that, then heck, you know, Meads, what can we say about him? The boy from Bristol.
Had an amazing game so far today. Really kind of just brought them into this Bank battle. And you kind of look at the impact that he's had and when he's kind of been able to pick up bodies and pick up frags. And I think it's generally been something that has swept Trust up into some of the rounds that they've got. Now, for the first time on this Bank, they are on the back foot with 3 rounds in a row for Orgulus. Can they keep that roll going, or can Trust find something to slow the roll?
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Orgulus now, they will take up arms in towards that top floor CEO. And yeah, you kind of look at the kind of setup that they're already bringing there. Have the castle there to, of course, limit a lot of the kind of long angles that players may want to try and use and abuse over towards that garage roof, which we've seen Orgulus, they were all about using those long angles. The window game, of course, was a massive thing for them. But so far, standard enough for Orgulus. Trust, on the other hand, Dokkaebi being brought in, which was there the last time. I didn't really see it have that much of an impact. I think she only got 1 call off and that was it, and then she just kind of died. So maybe we need more kind of time management from Avaish. Does bring frag grenades though, which is one thing that people still forget about, that she did get frag grenades in the last update.
Yeah, and we've seen that's been pretty decisive in these rounds. EU's always a region that's very good at burning ADSs and finding places to throw grenades. We even saw it on the previous map where I believe it was Rips got 2 frag grenades, bounced around corners in exactly the same place with Kobe to the heck out of those defenders. But we'll see if they can find a way to respond. Now, CEO is the push, the top floor. That's been a pretty big battle between the 2 teams across the board. However, Trust have only taken it once, and 3 times we've seen it already. Quite quick to get aggressive against these windows. Deepek is here putting pressure on, and Avaish from the far, far side on the exterior parking is looking for any bodies that might put a head up. But Cryin, in the meantime, just instantly opens up the frag, and that is your Thatcher off the board, off banned and often killed. Well, that is a potentially big loss to get into these stock walls if that's what your tactic was relying on.
Cryin still up in the stock trading, and this is a powerful position because he can utilize, of course, the staircases to his left and to his right if he needs to try and rotate below. And it just makes Trust have to work for the kill. They have to use drones, they have to use coordination. Whenever it's a 4-16, you know who you're up against. You know it's going to be crying on the Jaeger. So Trust, they move in, lacking the Thatcher, but I don't really think that matters, because it's not as if there's a Kaid or a Bandit that will deny the access to the Thermite. Sure, could have came in handy for eliminating the Maestro cameras, but Sophia's there to deal with that. So it's not all lost for Trust, just losing one player. There's tons of potential to try and pull this back. And like we talked about, those staircases that Cryan can fall back to, he does just that. Has to be careful, though, whenever there is still one man train over towards that garage. And you can see Kanto Spot still being firmly held by KS, and he's going to deny pretty much everything that Trust want to try and push down that main corridor.
Well, there's a body dropped. Cryan is getting pretty bold and brash and suffers the fate as Jinxdown manages to find a frag out of it. A smoke grenade pops and stops any immediate roll, but in the meantime, Deepek finds another body on the opposite side. The thermite charge goes off. No trick to try and stop it, as it does crack them in a little bit closer. And again, they're looking for some semblance of a body inside the point before they push as aggressively as they intend to. Meads, in the meantime, is digging his way closer and closer to the point, and that is 2 attackers on flickers of health now, Al and Deepek. And Rips is actually going to jump out and run out and see if he can find somebody. No, nobody on Banana yet. The pings are coming out on the window side. Wants to get aggressive with it, is going to, but in the meantime, there's another one shot down on the other side, and a twin kill for Prano. Swings round and finds the man behind the desk, and with only 13 seconds left, Rips shuts down the single body trying to swing in.
Orgless dominating. If they're going to prioritize windows, you need to have control of that lobby. That's one thing that Orgless did so well in their attacks and CEOs, that they prioritized what they needed to know. They knew that they were going to play windows, so then they knew, oh yeah, we have to take lobby for that to happen. Trust doing the opposite. They're trying to play by themselves in these attacks. They're not looking like a solid team. Decision-making is questionable from Trust in terms of where they want to kind of play. That entire round, whenever they lost Leonske, they had no idea what they wanted to go for. You know, you had one guy in the garage, you had 2 guys pushing in from Skylight. Just a big mess of things for Trust, really. They have to look at that.
Yeah, things start to shut down, especially when they, as you said, got the ground earlier on. They had managed to get the man advantage. They managed to get the main wall point open. They were looking at, or the point that they wanted to at least, they were looking at finding their way in. Yes, they lost the Thatcher. Maybe they wanted to put more pressure on Square, but couldn't. But either way, it all just kind of started to fall apart. Now, if we hark back to when Trust opted for their defense first, in the same manner, they won Lockers and won CEO. They're maybe not as convincingly, as we've just seen Orgless win it, but it was the third point where things started to change the shape of the game, and Orgless swung themselves into a better position. Can they try and find some semblance of joy in that? Realize that they lost it against an attack, and they might be able to find something more here. Talents is often a little bit more of a substantial point in terms of where attackers can find angles and ground, because you're generally always in a sight line and a firing line from wherever potential different angle. There's also all of the verticalities that you often got to keep control of, that a lot of teams love and opt to play for, and just the worries of rotations and the speed that players can bring to this. Curious to see where they throw those castles, whether they're going to keep those as down point ones or reinforce across the back wall, which is normally the most common way of doing it nowadays, where you can see Cryan running around and escaping from. In the meantime, Rips is still just hopping around, taking down drones and throwing up cameras.
Orgless, with their setup, looks to be pretty aggressive in terms of the kind of destruction that they've been able to come in with. Jinxdown, GA1, an LMG that we don't see all too often, and especially in IQ, whenever there is, you know, even the Commando and the AUG, which seem to be better picks. And what do you think about the AUG compared to the Commando?
I mean, you know, it used to be the AUG was just an unbelievable gun. I remember that kind of being up there with the best guns in the game, with at least in terms of suffering against it especially. And then the Commando kind of just swung into fashion because of the speed that you can bring with it and the amount of kind of bullets you can spray in a direction. And then the LMG, recently, with all the kind of changes to LMGs, like for me, IQ's guns are in the most technically balanced state they've ever been in. I prefer the Commando based on the handling. I know a lot of people prefer the AUG based on the look, because it is remnant of old CS guns. But
other games are available.
Other games are available. But, you know, that's the kind of flip side of it is, you know, everyone's got their preference. Like the M870 shotgun for Jaeger.
Yeah, that's not a preference. That's just stupidity. So, anywho, Trust Gaming, they're ready to first of all, create their massive beachhead, which they've done very swiftly into the round already. Still half the round to go, and they've opened up that breach. So they will be going for a full lobby take. And the thing about a lobby, you need to make sure you have that upstairs control, because you need to, of course, deny the rotations. An elevator hallway can be a big one that kind of attack struggled with, but if they have control of it and they have those angles kind of being held, even without the lack of like a nomad or a gridlock, then they should be just fine. But they still have that Jaeger, talking about elevator, he's creeping around that scenario, and let's see if Jinxstyle can win his 1v1s, as the LMG can spray in. Of course, pre-fire galore with the 50 bullets, and somehow plants being happened here, and nobody's from Orgless is stopping this? How is this secured? And Jinxstyle somehow win that 1v1, and still Orgless, they're at a standstill. Why is nobody jumping onto that?
I mean, Meads finds another body using the C4 as a rotation. Great pick there from Rips, but you've got to ace to bring this round back into your team's favor, and it is on a tough point to do it when they have all the guns and all the different angles from other sides. Gets the down onto the IQ. Isn't even going to bother finishing off the body, and there it is from the cover that we said was vast and glorious. Trust at least bring it back within a round. We said Tellers was the point of kind of where things get a bit touch and go, and that was proven both times. Both times it's gone away from the defenders. Can they replicate what happened on the flip side and bring this back to, well, potentially overtime, maybe even take the next couple of rounds and bring themselves into the lead and onto the third map? It's going to be tough, though. However, as we drop back round to lockers and CEO, potentially, well, probably, I'd be amazed if we didn't. Can they find the hole in Orgless's armor?
I just don't understand Orgless. They had two people still in open area whenever they clearly knew it was going to be a front take. Whenever they open up that lobby and they open up that wall, and you haven't heard anything on your side of the map, that's where you generally want to rotate. And I just don't get it. Is it lack of information? Is it lack of operators?
Defenders, protect your
I really don't know. I really don't know.
Crying, setting up the same way they generally had it before. I'm expecting a similar hold from Orgless. I think we all remember the chaos that was the last time we visited this point. Trust still opting for only one hard destruction. They're not going to try the true and tested method of bringing the Maverick as well. Maybe just don't like the gun set. Who knows? But either way, they're bringing the same collapse that they wanted to as the previous time round. Again, the only reason the last time we were here was close was because of the heroics of Meads on the backside, and the chaos was a little bit in their favor and swung a little bit of luck to them. You can assume that Orgless are going to be a bit more aware of this. Throws down the barbed wire underneath the hatch and ready to try and keep a bit of control, but you know, at the same time, no electronics denial at this point. They're just kind of going to let it roll, and he's Leonski working on what he's doing. Trying to find anyone that might try something quick against Dirt. No bodies yet for Pulse to detect as they go for the slow and steady clear out of the top two floors that they did last time. And then it's just a matter of making their way downtown.
Trust have brought in that Jackal. And whenever we kind of seen KS bring the Jackal, it didn't really do as much damage as what we can expect from that operator. And on a big map like Bank, Orgless haven't really been seen to have such a heavy roam game. Sure, they've had off-site holes, but it's not as if it's been like the single man you need to hunt and find. You know, sure, they scan the Pulse, but Pulse is deep in sight at this stage, so that's not really going to help them out a ton. So for Trust Gaming, still only bringing the one hard breach, which I absolutely despise, and I hate that they're doing so. Maverick is right there to give you an opportune moment. The reason why they ban Habana is so it makes life a lot difficult for these basements, but it's still doable. You still have access to Maverick. Trust, you ban Habana and you're not taking the Maverick. Orgless didn't really have this much of a struggle on their basement attacks because they brought both. They were able to open up default walls, they were able to open up hatches. You're limited to two. Whenever you waste one of them on server, again, you make this choice. Do you get rid of the A hatch or do you get rid of the default plant?
Well, Jinx is trying to find any semblance of footprints whilst roaming around upstairs. Has the Itter to try and open up these sightlines as well against the soft floor. Prano with a little beautiful hold there, and those bullet holes that we see so continually as Crying pops all the information towards the rest of the Orgless stack. But at this point, we know that Trust like to kind of take this a little bit slower than how other teams would otherwise. Pops over, and there is the cooked grenade we expected to see the previous time. Rips is thrown out of there, and he is put into the dugout and has to watch as, wow, this is much more remnant of what we expected to want to see from the side of Trust last time.
Jinxstyle still has smoke grenades in hand, and they will be forced themselves to drop the hatch once more. The last time they did this, it was a slaughterhouse. This time, though, for Orgless, they're down the smoke, so they don't have that denial. Chaos still alive, though, so like LMG can start popping heads, and well, leaving the information being tossed out by the Pulse, and will land 2 massive C4 kills, and the collapse comes in from Orgless. Trust Gaming, they got shot down, but it's still somehow 1v1 as a landslide of orange kills come in from Trust, and now Cryan has all to do against the Vice using such low HP. One bullet will take him down, has to get the diffuser, has to go for the plant. He has no utility. No bullets inside of his SMG-12, all down to the MK-14. The peek around from Cryan, he hears the tapping of the keyboard, doesn't know where to look. Shots land out, C4 gets tossed away, oh, but somehow Trust, they've made that work. Avage, he clutches up and really Cryan, you've let that slip through your fingers.
Yet again, the chaos that Trust love to bring to that basement point is unbelievable. They thrive in it seemingly, and when the trades start to lock in, they just seem to have that body above. Yes, the frag grenade that took care of the smoke was a very big pick. It was a very big part of being able to just control the space and control the atmosphere of the push, because as soon as you lose that utility, regardless of what push is going on in that point, it's a massive hole in the arsenal, because if he's there, if Smoke is in that position that he's always in, you know they're using that and relying on that pretty heavily.
Lockers once more for Orgless. Still, no Maverick for Trust. Sure, they made it work that time, but realistically, Fluke, they should not have won that round. Whenever you are literally limiting yourself for 5-man drop a hatch, it's not going to work. It just should not work.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing about it is the way it works as well, and I'm not sure if it works the same way in the, you know, dry runs and whatever, is that everybody pretty much dies and they win it in a 1 versus 1. It's such a strange way of relying on a way to push this point. Because, you know, surely, okay, looking at it statistically, surely 9 times out of 10, throwing everyone in like that will guarantee at least 3 dead from your own team. You might be able to find the bodies on the opponents, but you're still sacrificing a lot and hoping that the sheer overwhelming force of enough bodies to clog up the defense is enough that allows you in. But we saw obviously the C4 get 2 kills. We see the kind of utility that you know they're going to be bringing and know you're going to be expecting to face, such as the Pulse, such as the Smoke, such as the C4s, and it just... Crazy, yes. Creative, kinda. Effective, mixed. Reliable, surely not, I think, is the breakdown of that attack strategy.
Sticky one.
Yeah. Tough.
We love our sticky ones, don't we?
I mean, it's just, you know, I love to see it, but surely the statistician behind Trust is consistently having a heart attack. Trust fans must always be on the edge of their seat. I don't even know how...
Wait, Trust fans exist? I didn't know there was Trust fans.
Yeah, Hap.
I thought they were like a rare breed.
No, it's Hap.
Oh, yes, the bias casters, yes. As if we're not bias casters ourselves. Hashtag Secret Navi for life.
Jinxstyle, who has had, I think, a mixed bag is a fair definition of a game with complements of aggression mixed and myriaded with, well, not quite so much as he tries to find a way to shut down a bit closer. Avesh is leading the charge here for the first time. They're doing what looks like a slight difference in the push, trying to hit the frag grenades around the stairs, but it's kind of wasted, and Pulses, well, dancing and tippy-toeing around. Here is the second frag grenade. Surely that will not get the mark. No, Smoke is playing a bit further back, and that is both of Takebi's grenades out of pocket. At this point, they're going to have to try and do the same push they did previously. Oh no! Look at this. They've rotated strategies, gone back to a default, playing something out the bag, and it is the wall open. With a minute 15 on the clock, they're now going to have a way of collapsing a little bit better, and Meads is just going to try and get this drone in. A great response to shake it up when they need to.
It's because they've realized that, yeah, we don't actually need the server hatch off if nobody's holding that. They made that mistake the past 2 rounds. And now Orgless, they have to try and maintain with a much more standard push coming in from Trust. Still, that main kind of red hatch is still available for them to kind of maneuver around. They haven't got that open, and now the default plant comes in, but they're just trying to bait out the smoke grenades, the C4s, whatever they can. Of course, the Maestro cameras as well can still be there, which I think can still give information more importantly. And there's the first kill. There's the Maestro inside a garage. That very tricky position just keeps on putting out numbers, but it has swung back in with 2 kills, but still Orgless pulling away. But there's Meat still in the Thermite, who has played exceptional in this game. Let's see if the 2 Germans can try and muster up the courage to battle back against the Brit. 1v2. Has Diffuser. Oh, that's a great shot for Meads. Right back into a 1v1. Has to go for the defuse. 10 seconds to go. Jaeger's a fair distance away. Has to go for the rotate, and Meads will stick the defuse. No, comes off at the wrong time. He has to go for the kill. Now he has to stick it because Jaeger's breathing down his neck. Not enough time, it seems to be, for Meads. And, well, nice attempt, but Orgless say hang on by a thread.
Well, they pulled themselves round, and it was a good kind of improvisation there from Trust to kind of go, well, we've done this crazy strategy twice in a row. They're probably expecting it a third time. Let's go back to default. Let's find another way of approaching this push. And it almost came to fruition. But yet again, it falls to a 1 versus 1 match point and series point we look at now for Orgless. But this is the closest game we have had out of all of them so far. CEO is the difference here between overtime for Trust and the potential of finding themselves on a map 3 to progress. They must throw everything they can at this one. Here we go. Setting themselves up here on CEO with some more ACOGs. The Valkyrie to the dock potentially heralds an aggressive Rips here. If he can find 1 or 2 out before they've found their way into the building, as we've seen Trust do against Orgless, they might see themselves in a slightly better position to hold it and, you know, take the wind out of their sails before they even get close. Otherwise, it's just a matter of setting up and doing all familiar with the castles and with the smokes.
All familiar.
Yeah.
All peculiar. Do you get that reference?
Is it an alcohol?
No.
Then I don't get the reference.
Yogscast.
Oh.
Watch them?
Not a huge amount, unfortunately.
Wow.
Though I have sung a song.
Whenever I don't think I could be more disappointed with you.
I've sung a song with one of them.
Who?
Lamardia.
Oh, Hannah.
Yeah, I've done some duets with her before, so that was cool. There's a fun fact.
Back in your singing days.
Back in my singing days. They're long past at this point.
Need to get you in the karaoke machine.
Maybe it'll land. Orga set themselves up now, 6-5 match point. They've had some pretty bitter clashes previously. CEO was, I'm going to say, comfortable for them, but they did manage to get rid of the Thatcher very early on. Here is that long angle that we said Rips is probably going to be messing around with. Not that one in particular, but is looking at that kind of brutality. And the pings are coming out from range with the bulletproof camera feeding in to that. Leonski being a little bit slower and a little bit steadier here, not wanting to be the first off the table before he can do his Thatchering, as Viesh looks for any kind of blood or bones that he can find. There is a bit of a counter battle coming in finally from Rips, who realizes, well, his soft windows are being cracked open, so he may as well just try and find the firefight in particular, but no bites, and it comes to a bit of a slow and steady standoff here. There's Castle trying to cause a bit of an impact against the windows and try and find the man that's hanging around outside, but no joy and no luck, anything more than just a bit of a surprise to the system as Deepek holds onto the angle, and there goes Rips, a big take there.
Great opening kill, of course that's the dock, and he hasn't used any of his stim pistols, so that's wasted utility and also a wasted gun, and we know how strong that ACOG is, and Rips has been getting picked off on the defense fairly on. You know, he's a lot of opening deaths there whenever you look at everybody else in his team. Deepek looking to pressure in towards the windows, and hopefully for this time in Trust, they have got lobby control, so they don't allow, you know, players to try and sneak in. And yes, thankfully they do, as Jinxed Owl lurking inside of Archives, of course, can hold that down for them. But that counter spot, that's the one that they need to mess up. That's the position that is the prime target. And whenever you do lack, of course, the Hibana, because it is banned, and also along with the Capital, makes things a lot more difficult. Suppressor on the Alda. That's a first for me.
Yeah, couldn't tell you the last time I've ever seen.
I've never seen that.
No. DVRN is looking towards the long angle, see if they can catch someone, but that is not a great gun to do it with. As Meads tries to get the diffuser in, the sound is partially covered, swings around, realizes they have to take care of Al first, which they do, but now we're in a post-plant situation and the two bodies hurriedly make their way out towards Square, and this is a post-plant situation and a nice one for Trust as they find another body on their side. The smoke canister goes off, gonna swing around and see if they can catch him, and they do. Prano is keeping the dream alive right now as he finds a way slowly and steadily across towards these windows, but with the body out there and still the man on the far side, Cryan suffers a fate, had to pick the fight, but couldn't quite get it. They did get the immediate windows, but Prano finally passes to the afterlife.
He's outside.
And, you know, it's just this moment of, is this the end of this round? Going for the big run there, trying to throw themselves somewhere, but unfortunately, that is not quite it for Auglas.
What's he doing?
Trying to catch his impact, I think.
Trying to catch his grenades.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what time it is, Fluke?
Tell me.
It's overtime.
What? Yeah, it's the first overtime we've had for this as well. Trust refusing to go down. They are going to try and pull themselves back in. Obviously, this was their map pick. They are on the attack first, and statistically, this has been a 3-3 either way. So this could still go either way. There's not really a preference favored, it seems, between the two teams, because everybody has been performing pretty admirably across the board. We're going to obviously go to the basement as the first point, and this has been, again, something where they've either taken it in dramatic fashion or lost it at the wire. There's never not been a 1 versus 1, I believe, this point.
So hectic. Well, we expect this from TU teams who we kind of pitched as to be the most evenly matched up tonight. Of course, we've seen G2 go against a lesser team compared to, of course, their stature. And then you also turn your eyes towards next series, which we'll have Penta against Envik, who we expect Penta to also kind of run away with that. You know, a Pro League team going up against a team who isn't even Tier 2. You always expect that kind of stump, similar to what we've seen from Latin America yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about these two teams as well is obviously everyone's got to remember they are one game between each other in CL. They are yet to play each other in CL as well. They are evenly matched statistically as you can kind of get them in the current season. So, you know, there's a long kind of history between these guys, and this is stuff that they'll be prepping for these kind of matches because they know. Obviously, at this point, you generally know that in CL, BDS and Forza are running away with it. Secret haven't had the best showing. There's the slimmest chance in the world that they can make it, but I don't, you know, this isn't their season. This is BDS's and Forza's. But at the meantime, you know, you've still got to try and escape the relegation side, and that's generally what these guys are prepping for. You can see Cryan again being quite aggressive with the pulse, trying to get this early information and potentially lead into some devastation across the sides of Trust and set themselves up to cover the attack. But quick legs from Meads there, drifts him down the building, and they start to find their way towards Garage. Gonna double up and see if they can find out a Maestro that has often been in place down here.
Yeah, Maestro, of course, is always going to be that big kind of over-looming factor. If you think about how much angle potential that you can provide, of course, from Garage, the cover is insane, and well, the rattles on through the Alda, and that's the first blood going in favor of Orglis. And typically whenever they do take the first blood, they look really strong in their defense, and for the most part, Rips has kind of been the first man to die right off the bat for Orglis, and has stayed alive. And whenever he is a smoke player, we don't really want to see him dying first all the time, do we, Fluke?
Has a rough habit of doing it, I think it's fair to say. And Leonsky is now holding the angle and trying to hope that someone drifts into his sight line and tries to push a bit aggressively, but here they are opening different hatches.
Intriguing.
First time wide on Volt, try and cut the defense in half and pull them away from the opposite sides. Trust, yet again, hitting this basement in a different way and trying to see if they can make it work. Cryan is doubling over as is DRVN, but at the same time, they still have soft walls. They have a bit of danger and a light bit of cladding between them and the defenders.
So they're going to go for a much unusual tactic that is definitely off meta, and that is pushing in towards the vault. There's a reason why nobody pushes in towards the vault. It's because it's so easy to defend. there is a multitude of different angles that you can drop the hatches in. If you try and drop in the elevator, for example, you're literally being asked to get C4'd or get smoked out, and even if Jinx style, if he goes for the deep plunge and drops down, he's just going to be eliminated by the guy holding that very stiff angle behind the cover. Oh, but somehow we see the win out for me to, again, still playing excellent. Leonski adds on to that, but this is what we talked about, the smoke. It keeps him at bay. Still, Maestro reining in, as always, and more kills on the board. Leonski is in such a predicament. They know exactly where he is, as that default camera was still up and alive, and now diffuser being dropped, that's going to be for Meats, but he's actually been downed inside of elevator. Rips. Also adds on to Leonski, and now 1 versus 3, all to do for Avage, 1 versus 2. As of course, Meads is never going to get picked up in this situation. Doesn't have diffuser, has to play for the kills, pushes in around, and well, that's all she wrote. KS, especially with the Alda, was insane that round.
Well, it was a good attempt for something off the beaten path there from Trust, but unfortunately, as you said, it just didn't quite.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It's not a push that works. That's the thing about it.
One day it will, maybe.
No, it's never going to work. It just won't. The layout doesn't allow it to.
You gotta have a little bit of trust.
No.
Gotta have a little bit of faith.
No.
Faith and trust. Meads, 15-9. As we said, has had a pretty outstanding game all day so far, and has been a lot of the times what has kept Trust into this game. They have opted to defend lockers. They defended it successfully both times. Some of it came a little bit more down to the wire than previous attempts, and as I said, it's been a very heated point between both teams so far today. Can Oculus lock it out on OT match point, or Trust, can they just keep this energy going? There is the swap from Jackal to the Maverick, Sixth picking it out to keep it as a little bit of a surprise, and so far KS has been pretty deadly with the Maverick, very, very effective and very quick at getting open what they need to.
Yeah, because they're actually a team who's realized that you need more than one hard breach to attack this bomb site. You just need it. It's not. That's the main thing that has downfall Trust on every single one of their attacks, is not bringing another hard breach. Bank and Clubhouse are probably my 2 maps where you always need to bring 2 hard breach. There's maps that you can get away, like heck, even Coastline, you can get away without bringing it. Border, you know, you only need 1. You need the Thermite to make things happen. You look at Consulate, only the 1 will do. Sometimes even Thermite doesn't even get a Thermite charge towards top floors in Consulate. Villa, sure 2 could help, but still we've seen that work with 1 before in Thermite. There's no maps that, you know, kind of allow for needing having 2. You need to have both of these. You need to have both of them on bank, and that's the big thing that Trust need to get drilled into their head. And it's cost them. It's cost them every single lockers.
Apart from the one that they won.
Are they winning?
They're close to.
No.
They're close to, and they've done the best showing that they did in the previous map and the closest match we've had all today. Holding the long angle there, Leonski has tried this a couple of times, and it hasn't worked either time. Bringing this Maestro battle and bringing some aggression against it. This time has a bit of cover over the shoulder and is going to peek from the opposite side and be a bit creative with it. Trying to find the drone in the elevator, but the drone in the roof, and no joy and no luck, unfortunately. They're aware the man is going to be in there. It's generally thrown someone in blue every single time so far. Pushing now and droning ahead. They're going to see if they can get control of this server side, as they usually do, and Kaid is the one that is battling against that hatch currently. Just trying to keep it in the hands of Trust Gaming. There it goes, and Maverick is throwing it down. There is another Kaid claw taken, as Avish looks ready to swing around this corner and be aggressive with the shotgun, and currently it's just holding the angle and waiting and taking care of any drone that gets anywhere close. KS free, though, to do all of the burninating he wishes, and now it's just a matter of seeing how long until someone starts to try and make push come to shove.
Oh, the nade gets tossed in, but doesn't land anything. Just missed that one, and here comes the Titan killer. Avage rains on through. Another one for him, yes. That'll do nicely for him with the F-12, and now Avage just eyeing up his options and takes full advantage of Sophia there. Wasn't even ready for that one, and now it swings back into a 3-on-2, but still all hands on deck for Trust Gaming to pull it into, of course, that final round of the map.
Having smoke on the board and having Maestro on the board are very big assets, especially when, you know, they kind of haven't really done a huge amount of this point destruction yet. They've got to still find a way from servers into the point itself. Going to try and quick peek it and see if they can bait anyone out that's on server, but no one is. Everyone else from Trust is way back inside the point, relaxing and having a nice time for now. This is also covering the opposite side too. It's a double up there as they make sure that no one just quickly tries to swing a cheeky plant on the opposite side. The first smoke canister goes off. Still 2 more of those in pocket and ready to slow the roll. And as we said, there is also the big gun of Leonski holding the angle deep from garage. Lucky to survive this time around. No one pushed them aggressively, and the fantastic work of the Ella really made quick work of everyone above the hatch. And from this point onwards, they've got to try and make a plant against a lot of utility. All it takes now is those smoke canisters to win this out and get this round for Trust and bring it to OT match point. Prano is in a pretty impossible situation as there's still another smoke canister in hand, and I can only really imagine this ticking out now.
Yep. Trust Gaming, they take it straight to the final round. Big thing for me would have to be the position that they were playing their nade operator. Try to nade in through that vent, which it's a tricky one to hit. We clearly seen him miss one of those. Wouldn't it just be simpler just to simply bounce it off the wall and onto the Ella from that point?
Yeah, I mean, the worry at that point is obviously that the ADS is at the top of the stairs. You normally see
that. You just burn it, though. You have a Thatcher to get rid of ADSs.
Yeah, but they haven't really been doing too much of that, we've seen. They're not worrying about ADSs, and I think they're kind of using frag grenades weirdly as like a secondary thing. For the skill that Auglas have with frag grenades, they seem to kind of use it more as a situational thing rather than a part of a push thing. They'll go, oh, there's someone there. Oh, I've got a frag grenade. I can deal with that. Rather than, we know they're going to be doing this. Let's burn and grenade like we see some other teams doing. CEO. CEO is going to be our final battlefield with Auglas leading on the defense. Now, again, this has been one that they've won on defense and one that they've lost on defense. And it's one that they've won on lost on attack once and then won it twice on attack. So
yeah, it's been varied.
Yeah. Theoretically, they are statistically in the better angle to take this, but you never really know. Last time we were here, Trust managed to win it, and it got into point very quickly and shut down from this top of square. Skylight was all under their control, and at that point, they just had to rotate and be a little bit cautious. We had the long angle never really shut down from the big guns at KB, and at that point, it was really just Auglas running into a lot of gunfights that they probably didn't want to take at the ranges they were taken at.
Well, if you look at both times that we've seen this being defended by Auglas, first time Trust, they tried to do something. They would try to do like everything at once. I remember they tried to play a guy on the windows and then got eliminated because they had no cover on lobby. Then whenever they did finally win a CEO attack, it was simply down to them realizing, yeah, we actually need to take control of lobby if we want to play the window game. At post-plant, the window game came in pretty strong. So then whenever we kind of turn our eyes towards this round, will they go for the same thing that then Auglas may be ready for, or do they go back to kind of your standard Skylight, which does put you at risk of going up against Cryan, who did cause problems on this side of the map the last round, and only time will tell, but at the moment, all of them stacking up in towards the lobby and also the window game, so certainly it's going to be similar to what they did last time. But maybe not, because they're still droning out that side of the map. So it's a strange one. They're kind of trying to do 50-50.
Well, Deepak is putting the pressure on the windows as he did before. Managed to find a frag with these kind of motions previously, and yet again, Avaish is on that far, far angle, on the far, far side on the parking lot. Trying to find, again, anyone that's playing aggressively against it. Previously, we did see, I think it was Rips, on the ACO operator looking for the long angle battle, has opted to not opt to do that fight this time. Going to play something a bit closer to the wire and something with a bit more information. I think that's useful. Cryan is ready to swing round against the square Skylight stairs and find anybody that tries to get it. And obviously if they can take something out of the arsenal here, if they can drop either the Thatcher or the Thermite, that could completely swing this round to their favor. That was how it went down the first time they were here as defenders. They managed to pick out the Thatcher before they even approached it. Trust had to come up with a plan B. The plan B just didn't quite get there.
What I don't like about the position Avaish is playing is that his nades are not going to be used in the slightest here. Why are they not putting someone over here who doesn't really need, you know, you can even have Leonski could, like, for the Thatchers, then rotate over towards Garage Roof in a space of time, then have those frag grenades, because Avaish is literally going to be out of the game, and if things start stacking up against Trust Gaming, which already they are, he's not going to have enough time to rotate in towards the building and actually make something happening, so he's out of the game. For this push they're going for, he's not going to do anything in this scenario. In that position, he's just idling by. He's catching flies at that stage.
Well, Cryan opened the fragging, and we said it was going to be an integral moment as soon as he dropped the Thatcher, because this is now down for Trust to find a way to make a secondary plan work. Meads suffers a fate as well. That is a big operator and a big player gone, but again, they've at least managed to get their dying throws to get the wall open. The smoke canisters and the C4s are still popping towards it. The man is in the corner of Janitor. A C4 goes off, but no bites as they all rotate around to the battle on this wall. The window is covered and another smoke goes off. There is a quick trade. Prano finds one. Deepek finds another. It is just down to the man inside. Prano is in the firefight, but the DKB couldn't even grenade herself into the afterlife.
That is what I'm talking about. You're playing an operator who has a great impact. Whenever she has those frag range, you can get rid of, example, Canto Spot for a position. That's excellent to get rid of. And you're leaving her there while you're pushing the other side of the map. She has no time to rotate. It's... I don't know anymore, Fluke.
It's unfortunate. Is a way of
It's not
putting
unfortunate, it's just, it's common stuff that's kind of cost Trust. Not bringing a Maverick, playing people in positions that's never going to help their team in the way they're pushing. Sure, that makes sense, that Dokkaebi position makes sense if they're going for a lobby take, but they're not going for a lobby take. Why would anybody from Orgulus need to go into lobby if they all know what's coming from Skyline?
No, it's fair. I mean, it's the hard thing about it. We sometimes see this stuff work. It worked the round before. It kept complete control of that and allowed the boys on the other side to be able to break their way in. This time, it didn't work at all. And I think that's the lesson that a lot of these guys have to learn from these two maps is sometimes the same flavor doesn't quite work multiple times. You've got to be more ready to realize that if you have to hit your plan B has to be better. It has to have those utilities slightly closer to the battlefield. It has to have something that is easier to rely upon. We aren't done yet, though. We have one more match today. It is Penta versus Envik. Apologies if I mispronounced that. And that is going to be one more best of 3 right after a little bit more adverts. Do not go anywhere. We will be back very soon.
predict the outcome, win the game. Get live coverage and schedules for your favorite tournaments. Analyze, predict, and vote to gain points. Compete with other esports fans and climb the leaderboards. Strafe, everything esports. Download now on iOS and Android.